Hi, and welcome to Cut the Crap, the podcast. My name is Laman, and I'm going to be hosting real people having real conversations. I find that health stems well beyond your food and weight, and that with the right conversation, not only can we gain perspective, but spark positive, lasting change. Now, without further ado, let's get into today's conversation. Today, I'm going to be having a conversation with Lара Iskanдар, and what you might not know is that over a year ago, Lara and I had a sit-down conversation before Corona, before Kaya, before this whole year and a half happened. And as a lot of people will say, nothing exactly went as planned. A few days after our conversation, we had a lockdown, businesses shut down, everyone's plan was on pause. And unfortunately, the conversation never got to be posted because by the time we received the content, things had changed a lot. So I wanted to sit down with Lara again, this time on Zoom, so a bit different, and just have a conversation that is timely, that's relevant. I'll definitely be pulling at information we talked about from our previous conversation. And I hope that after this conversation, we can post what we did before, because it was a fabulous, delicious, really insightful talk. So let me start by asking you why you kept your pregnancy a secret. And did you know that you were pregnant when we were sitting together?
So, no, I did not know that we were pregnant when I was sitting together. I found out pretty late that I was pregnant, actually. Why I kept my pregnancy a secret is there's no, I could beat around the bush and give 100,000 reasons. It's just, I didn't want anyone to know. I didn't think it was anyone's business. Plain and simple. I mean, we talked about this before. I started off on this reality show, right? So I kind of have this issue where people really, other than the fact that I'm a public figure, there's also that added value of oh, you are on a reality show. We do have the right to know everything about your life and all that. So I just felt like that was the one thing I just wanted to keep to myself. And I think, I had told you that before. I always knew that when I got pregnant, I would keep that to myself. I just wanted to really go through it alone with my husband, with my family. It was just something that I really felt like, you know what? It's a beautiful piece of news to share with the world, but they don't have to know from the very beginning, and they don't have to be with me on my journey, because it's a journey that I have never been on before, and I feel like I just really need to experience it alone. And another reason is, with all due respect to everyone, I might do this a second time around, but with all due respect to everyone who announces their pregnancy and shows people, all the details of their journey, that's great for them, but I just didn't want to do that. I just felt like it was something that I just needed to do on my own. And then I think when COVID hit as well, I found that I was pregnant on the 31st of March, and then found out on April 1st that I had COVID. Yeah. So it wasn't really something that I wanted to share with the world, and at the time COVID hadn't hit in Egypt. I probably got it because I had just come back from traveling abroad. So I doubt it in Egypt, or maybe I did, but no one had it at the time. Yeah. And it was very uncertain about how COVID would affect the pregnancy. So it's not really something that I wanted to share either. I shared it with my friends way later as well. So yeah, I just hid my pregnancy because I felt like it was something I wanted to experience on my own.
Like you said, we sat together a couple days before March 17th, which was the lockdown. And we spoke about motherhood, and we spoke about all this. Which
I wasn't planning on getting pregnant.
No, you weren't. And then you found out that you were, and then you found out that you have Corona, which at the time, everyone was on complete panic mode. It's this foreign virus that I remember every time I walked into the house, I would, from walking the dog or just being in the sun, I would take off all my clothes and wash them. It was terrifying. So you didn't want to have a baby yet. You found out you were pregnant. Then you found out you have this terrifying, deadly disease. Did you have a moment when you were like, okay, what? Why?
Oh, 100%.
And then, so did that shake your? I feel like I would be looking at God
Are
What
you serious now?
is it?
Really?
Yeah, what's up? What was that
So
like?
yeah. Look, so I wanted to get pregnant within that year. I just obviously wasn't timing it to happen so soon, especially because I had just signed off to film a movie, which is my first acting gig ever. So I couldn't be pregnant. You know what I mean? Like I could not be pregnant. My character is not pregnant in the film. I shouldn't have been pregnant. And so that was one thing, right? I was very adamant on just not getting pregnant at the time, just wrapping up the movie and then hopefully trying to get pregnant and start a family. And honestly, like, I thank God for everything, because I know that there are women who try for years and years to get pregnant. And I mean, it happened to me when I wasn't even expecting it or asking for it. So that I have to be very thankful for. And I don't take that for granted.
The
But
timing
yeah,
worked
I
in your
mean,
favor because
the
anyway, the
timing did
movie
work. Exactly.
never.
Exactly. So that's the thing. But at the time, so we were on lockdown, but I mean, none of us knew how long it would last. So when I found out I was pregnant, in my head, I'm like, oh my God. So I have a movie. At the time, they hadn't put it on pause for COVID. So I was like, how am I going to tell them that I'm pregnant? Number two, I didn't want to get pregnant right now. And number three, it's COVID. Like, it's COVID times. It's super uncertain. I don't know what's going to happen. And then literally 24 hours later, I just found out I had COVID. So it was very weird. And then I just remember I mean, we didn't even get tested because I was feeling sick, because I had felt sick and my symptoms were gone. I thought I had a really, really bad cold.
Yeah.
We got tested because my parents were really sick, and they were really, really sick. And then when they found out that I was pregnant, they were like, we all need to get tested, because if they have COVID, then they need to stay away from me.
Mm-hmm.
And then so I got tested, my husband, my parents, because we all lived together, my sister and her fiance, because he's always with us. And the six of us got tested, and then I was the only one who tested positive. And I remember so well, my mom and my husband took me to my parents' room, and they sat me down, and they're like, we all tested negative, but you tested positive. And I remember just thinking, like, this is where they tell me that something's going to happen to my pregnancy, right? And they're like, we don't know what's going to happen. Like, the doctor said that you just shouldn't stress, and hopefully everything will be fine, because there's not much research about pregnancy at COVID.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, but the doctor said that you should be fine. All you have to do right now is you have to be treated like a COVID patient, even though your symptoms are gone. And I think the only thing I had at that time was just loss of taste.
Yeah.
And I remember just in my head thinking, like, I'm so sorry, God, that I said, like, that the day before, I wondered and I questioned, like, why you let me get pregnant. Because in my head, I was like, no, like, I knew I wanted this. I just didn't want it now. And then this is happening. So is this, the universe trying to teach me a lesson and all that. But anyways, Yani, it's not as dramatic as it sounds.
But you felt probably that you were being punished for not accepting without a doubt, without question something. But I don't think that's what it was. But I understand why you would be like.
Yeah, like, it was just a little bit of like that train of thought for like a quick second. And then it was more like everyone was treating me like I was a COVID patient, and I was going through the pregnancy symptoms, right? So I was completely isolated from my family. They were like, at the time, like, we were eating out of, like, I was eating out of like foam plates and like plastic cutlery. Everything was disposable, because at the time we really didn't know anything.
Yeah.
But I was going through nausea and crazy morning sickness, and I was going through fatigue, and they were treating me like I had COVID. And I was like, I'm over COVID. Like, my symptoms are done. I'm going through new symptoms right now as a pregnant woman. You know what I mean?
Pregnant.
So it was kind of that, I'm pregnant and I'm feeling it. And it was kind of that struggle of just, khalas, yani, don't treat me like I have COVID. I'm good. I obviously just tested positive towards the end. I am now pregnant, and I had really bad morning sickness. So I was just over everything and everyone. Khalas, I was over it.
Did you ever fear that you would lose the baby?
I didn't fear that I would lose the baby per se, like that. I mean, I want to say no, but my issue, I'll tell you what my issue was. My issue was that one of the first things the doctor told Philippe, my husband, was, don't tell anyone that she's pregnant. Obviously, other than the fact that it was in the very beginning. He's like, and don't tell anyone she has COVID. He's like, this kind of stress, if people know, and sort of stress her out more is going to be really bad on her and the baby's health.
Yeah.
He's like, right now at this stage, and especially since we don't know what's going on, like with COVID and pregnancy, he's like, if people find out, it's not just because we're not supposed to tell people, it's
Yeah.
they're going to be so stressed about it. They're going to stress her out. So in my head, all I kept, when my husband told me that, all I kept thinking of was, okay, so I don't need to stress. I need to be fine. I need to be this and this and that. And I had another problem. And so many obstacles at that time. I had another problem that once I tested negative, no doctor, no OBGYN gynecologist in Egypt would see me.
What?
Not one. They were all terrified because they had not met anyone who tested positive and then negative. No doctor. I went to see a doctor at 10 weeks. I was at home for 10 weeks of pregnancy. And I had found out I was pregnant pretty late, about like the 7th or 8th week, to be fair. Because I mean, it's very personal, obviously, but my body didn't tell me that I was pregnant. And I didn't go see a doctor until I was 10 weeks pregnant. And my gynecologist is in Lebanon. So I called him to tell him I was pregnant the second I found out. And he's like, I can't really do anything until I see a sonogram. And no doctor in Egypt wanted. My husband called in a favor. Everyone was trying to call people, and everyone was just saying, you know, come back in a week, come back in 2 weeks. Some people just said like no and all that. And then until the doctor that was treating me for COVID called in a favor to a gynecologist, to another doctor, and told him like, you know that you trust me and I would never lie to you. I'm going to give you her PCR. I tested her myself. My lab tested her. She is negative. And that's the only way I managed to go see a doctor at that point. So that was kind of tough.
I mean, pregnancy on its own is an experience for every first-time mother, and it's a whole new thing to learn. And so is COVID, and you had to do both at the same time. And so when we spoke, like you said, you had a movie planned. Everybody had all these plans and all these things in their schedule, and all of a sudden, the plans changed. We no longer had control or the perception of control. How did you go from, because I remember when we sat, you were fired up. You're like, I'm doing this now. I'm going to get into the movie.
Yeah.
I'm going to get back. I took 10 years off.
I had 2 music videos that I was about to shoot. Like,
right.
I was like, and that was like my year. And I remember sitting down with Minna Al-Kiri, who writes my songs, and she's like, 2020 is your year. I was like, what? She's like, I mean, you're shooting a film. You have 2 really cool songs coming out that we wrote together. There's so much happening. So when I was ready to tell everyone, I called her. I was like, 2020 is my year. I got COVID. I'm pregnant. I'm going to be sitting at home for the next 9 months of my life. It definitely is my year, but just not the kind of year you thought it was going to be.
Everyone thought 2020 was going to be their year. And I will say, in a way, it really was everyone's year to like stop this. There's no distractions. There's no bullshit.
Definitely.
There's no perception of control. There's no feeding off of all the things that are materialistic or
100%.
We really slowed down and sat in our filth to clean up our own shit. Like there's no other way there's like no
definitely
delicate way for me to explain this. You know?
I think that everyone in their own way has learned to actually prioritize what is important in life and what isn't. Maybe, and like I said, in their own way, because I mean, we don't all have the same point of view and the same priorities when we view what like life means to us. But I think everyone was very grounded in a sense. So yeah, 2020 was definitely my year. It just wasn't the year that I thought it was going to be.
What do you think you walked away from this year with, like some cementing lessons? Just whether it's trusting the things that happen to your life are for you as opposed to like against you. It's not happening to you, it's happening for you. Or if it's just your priorities have obviously shifted, but overall some just fundamental lessons that you feel like you really
I think you said something very, very important and valid that I don't think I would have said myself, is that you do realize that what happens to you doesn't happen to you, it's for you. It's like I said, like when all that had happened to me, it was, and you said that as well, it came at the right time. You know what I mean? Like, I really did manage to go through my pregnancy in peace. Yes, it was a very risky time. Yes, it was a very tough time. But I mean, I don't think I would have been able to do what I did if life was going about like it normally was, right? I think another thing is I'm someone who, I mean, everyone knows this about me, is that I really value the time I spend with my family. But
Mm-hmm.
I I don't think I valued it as much as I did after this year. That was really important to me. And then another thing I think as well is health. Like, I know everyone thinks health is important, but we just, the thing is, life goes on and it moves on so fast. Like, our day to day, even if you're sitting on the couch bumming doing nothing, like, your day passes in a second, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you don't always remember what's important.
Right.
It pops up in your mind or something reminds you of that. So I think it just, it puts so many things into perspective for me. I mean, my family has always been important to me, but now I value them. It's not that I prioritize them more than anything else. It's because obviously I do, but there are moments where I have to do something else and all that. It's just, it puts the importance of it puts the importance of family and of health and of, you know, the people that have been in your life, like, always. Like, it just puts all that into perspective and makes you realize that once everything is taken out, once traveling is gone, leaving the house is gone, your outings, whatever social
Just even
or
going to get a
professional,
coffee, like going and just grabbing.
100%. But it's, you know what? It's when we were locked at home that you were speaking to the same people that have meant the same to you throughout your life, right? Because you don't see them, you don't deal with them and everything, but physically, but I mean, you're still going through things together. And I think one thing that a lot of people have said over the course of the year is that it's the first time that the entire world has experienced everything, like, has experienced something like this together.
That's true. You can
We're
feel it in
really
the
all
energy
in
of
this
the earth.
together.
You can
a
feel it
hundred percent
even till now. You can feel it. It's we got to a point where I feel like the universe was like, you guys are going the wrong way, doing the wrong things at the wrong
Definitely.
time. You guys don't know we're so high above life that we're just not even grounded at all. Like,
A
nothing
hundred
mattered
percent.
anymore. But this, okay, I said this to you yesterday, and every time I speak with you, even the last conversation and now, there's time is such a thing I associate with you, whether it's taking time, allocating time, delegating your time, switching from, okay, now this is time for my daughter, this is time for myself, it's the right time has been such a thing that I associate with you, and I feel you
Mm-hmm.
so gracefully do all the things I just said, whether allocating, taking time, all the stuff. And I feel like also Corona played on our perception of time, that
Oh,
we're moving
definitely,
too
for sure.
fast and we're
Uh-huh.
not taking time for ourselves. And health is not an apple. Health is, it's the people you're around, it's the conversations you're having, it's the thoughts that you're thinking, it's the places that you're going, it's the things that you're doing. Those are the things you take time to do, and people you take time for. That is the biggest
Mm-hmm.
thing that charges or drains your health, I believe. So time and you, to me, are like one thing. So I'm just gonna let you rant again about this that I felt.
Mm-hmm.
How you, okay, let's start with shifting. You, when we sat, you said the last 10 years, or I took a couple years off and I just wanted to be with the people that have always been there. I wanted to reconnect with my friends,
Mm-hmm.
my family. And then now it was time, music video, movie. And then it was time to make a baby, to grow a baby, to sit home.
Mm-hmm.
I find it very hard to say that this, to associate, to assign my time to something and then life come and tell me, nope, that's not what we're doing.
Not today.
Not today.
I know.
You're wrong. And I feel like a sense of like, no, but I was so mentally ready and I planned it. So I have a hard time shifting. And I feel like you do it so gracefully. What's that internal dialogue? How do you do that?
Well, I don't I didn't really feel that I was doing it so gracefully until you mentioned it. I still don't feel that I do. But I think I'm someone who's very realistic. I do understand that you can go all the way to get what you want done, but that things don't always, I mean, we're talking about this specifically, things don't always happen the way they should. And it's your job to figure out how you're going to take that and make it what you make it, right? So, I mean, anyone in my place either could have done the same thing that I did, or they could have been like super depressed. And like, we talked about this even, like, thankfully I didn't, I mean, postpartum, I didn't have the baby blues, I didn't get depressed, I was good and all that, but that's uncontrollable. But what I'm trying to say is I really do think that with time, you sort of take in what you can, and you make it your own. So, I mean, like we said, like I had taken time off. I was always off and on in my career, like doing really, really well and like working really, really hard, and then taking time to work behind the scenes, not in front of it, and taking time to spend time with my friends and my family. And then that year, obviously, I thought was obviously my year, like everyone did.
It was.
And it was, but I mean, when everything happened, for me, I think time is really broad. We were talking about this yesterday as well. I think it's more moments. Like, it's these little moments that matter, right? And I think we had spoken about this before, that it's when there's so much going on and you're sitting down with just the people that you really care about, or people that understand you, whether it's your friends or like, you know, your significant other, or even now like my daughter. Like, it's these moments that you just don't want to get rid of. And I think when you have moments like that with people, you learn how to manage your time around doing things that you want to do, things that you have to do, and you kind of create that balance, because you don't want to miss out on the stupid little things, and you don't want to miss out on the big things, but there are other things that you just have to move forward with, whether it's your job or your life or whatever. So I think it's just understanding and being very realistic that life gets in the way of life, and you just have to figure out how to take the best of it all and just organize your day and your week and your month around it.
Do you
But yeah,
deal with
I
any
mean,
mom guilt? Do you deal with mom guilt?
look, I don't think I think the mom guilt you're talking about, I didn't get the chance to deal with yet, because my daughter was a pure COVID baby. She was born during COVID. I was completely locking myself down the first 5 months. I mean, the only time we properly left the house is when we came here. So in terms of moving on with my life and leaving my daughter and all that, I didn't go through that because I didn't leave the house myself. I kept her home and I stayed with her. Because like I told you, I was terrified to leave the house. I was one of these people who for the last year and a half I was an advocate for how serious COVID is and how you really should be, you know, being careful and staying at home. So in that sense, I didn't have mom guilt because I didn't do anything with my life to leave her. I think the only time I felt something like that was when I was traveling I was getting vaccinated and I was traveling, and it was the first time for me to leave her. And I remember just crying the entire flight, literally the entire flight. And my sister was laughing. Like, at one point, my sister just stopped feeling sorry for me. She's like, every time I look at you, you're laughing, you're crying. She's like, خلاص يعني, get over it. But I don't think I've had the chance to feel that kind of mom guilt yet. And I think I was very blessed to not have that the first time around. Maybe the second time, they say things are easier, so I probably, you know, it won't be as bad. But because I was home all the time, I didn't really feel it. But Taban, as a mom, you always feel like you don't know what you're doing, even though deep down inside you probably do know what you're doing, because maternal instinct is real.
Yeah. We talked about unsolicited advice about when are you going to have a baby? When are you going to do this? And then you had a baby. Do you still get the unsolicited advice of don't do this, don't do this, don't hold her, don't cradle her, don't, create,
always.
I don't know, all the advice. Always.
No, and it's not always advice. Sometimes it's, and I think every mom watching this is going to relate, because I was talking to my own mom about this recently, and I was like, people really need to mind their own business. Like I don't, like I see other moms maybe doing things that I personally wouldn't do. I would never open my mouth. What they're doing first, no, seriously, because what they're doing, first of all, awalan might be working for them. So good for them. Yeah. Second of all, who am I? like I'm talking about myself personally, as a first-time mom, to go judge someone else, right? Even if I was a second or third-time mother, I wouldn't do that. But it's not always the unsolicited advice. It's more like sometimes it's these questions, and then you feel like you're being tested, right? So if you give the wrong answer, they're gonna be like, "Oh, really? But you should do this, and you should. So really, you do that?
And you're not
And it
subtle, bro.
really pisses
I
me
know
off.
you're criticizing with your question.
It really pisses me off. And someone had told me this when I think when I first had Kaya, they're like, no one is going to be a better mother to your child than you.
Obviously.
So but it's always that advice that you should do this. انتي بتاكليها كذا كذا, انتي بتنيميها كذا كذا, انتي بتكلميها, انتي بتحميها, انتي. And it's like, أيوة, I do this, I do that. This is our schedule. This is the way, we go about things. This is خلاص يعني. Leave everyone alone. And it's all like, you have some moms who are super supportive and super helpful, and then you have others that you just don't even want to ask a question to, because the question is going to turn into an indirect way to shame you into like about what you're doing, basically.
Or a lecture.
Yeah, I don't ask any. I have two people that I ask questions to. They're my two closest friends who got pregnant at the same time. And there's no judgment. Even if we disagree on certain things, we deal with it, like adults.
Yeah.
like mature adults. We don't judge, we don't criticize. I mean,
you're just figuring it out. You're figuring it out.
You are, and then I mean, really, like, I don't know, like, it's just something really stupid to even discuss, because you know what I realized? Like, you try to do the best for your child, right? So you really do try to be the best mom, but the person next to you is also trying to be the best mom for their child. Like, no one is trying to do less than what they should. No one is trying to make less of an effort. So just let everyone be.
Yeah, because some people,
you know what I mean?
For maybe for me, I think when I have a child, I'm gonna be a better mom if I have certain amount of an hour or two a day where no one's around me, like where it's just me watching a show, doing whatever the hell I want to do. Or maybe it's when I wake up, I need to leave the house and do like a workout and just sweat, and then I'm a more present person. Maybe for you it's completely different, and it is going to be different for you and for this person. And that, but you bring up such an important point of people are so involved in everything you do and how you do it, and they're so okay with just like spraying you with information and judgment and questions. And boundaries are so important. And I'll tell you this, Laura, I learned even this year, boundaries within your family and your most inner circle are necessary. You as an individual need to set boundaries with everyone, because just we are already so accessible. Accessible all the time. And we're held accountable if we don't have the energy to listen to a voice note, but we go and like a picture on Instagram, and it's like, well, I know you have your phone. Akid, I have my phone. Like, but that's a different energy, and that's a different energy. And I just, like, in every type of interview I try to bring up the point of let people be, but also I want to know how you set your boundaries with people. Like, how do you say, like, thanks, auntie, or my friend's mother, or my mother-in-law, or my friend mother,
or my friend. Like, it's not always like an older woman. It's sometimes it's girls your age or your generation or whatever. But I remember as well, a lot of people, whether they were older women or younger, being like, oh, so هترجعي تشتغلي تاني? Obviously, because my job, for other people, I mean, I'm not a doctor, not a lawyer.
You're not out here saving the world or anything, Laura.
I'm not an entrepreneur, exactly. So like, you're really gonna go back to what you're doing? And I'm a very
No, I'm gonna sit here and pump milk all day.
100%. I'm a very calm person. That's one. Number two, it doesn't, يعني مش pushing my buttons isn't the easiest thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like deep down inside, I could be really annoyed at you, but I'm someone who's really, really calm.
Calm,
Like
cool, and
you come
collected. I would associate with you.
very, so you come at me with a comment like that, I'm not gonna get aggressive. I'm not gonna get, like, I'm not gonna react. You're not gonna get a reaction out of me. So انتي هترجعي تشتغلي? Yes. Ah, really? Yeah, when I'm ready. Like, definitely, when I'm ready, I will. But now I'm
هتسيبيها
not
مع
ready.
مين؟ هتسيبيها مع مين؟
100%. 100%. And my answer always is, by the way, my answer always is when I'm ready. And I'm currently not ready to leave her. Like that was at the time. I'm currently not ready to leave her. So don't worry. I'm not going to leave my child, my 3-month-old, in her crib on her own. I'm currently not ready to leave her. But when I am, yes, I will. I do have to get back to work. Like if we're talking like my music aside, there's certain commitments that I've made that I need to at least power through.
It doesn't
Whether or
even
not
have
I
to be
want
a
to.
need, though. It's you, for your own well-being, for your own life. You have all these women, right? Like my mother's generation, for example, they dedicated their entire lives to their kids. There
Mhm.
comes a time when your kids don't need you like that
Yeah.
anymore, and your life and your schedule doesn't revolve around their play dates or their activities or their competitions or their school plays or. And all of a sudden, after what, like 15 years of being a mom, or if you have multiple kids, it probably is like 20 something years of just being a mother.
Mhm.
You're left with this life that I'm not who I was maybe when I'm 25, when, like, I'll say that's when they had children.
Yeah.
It's not the same life. I can't just jump back into that lane. And at the same time, my life and what I've known for the last X amount of years, I'm not needed like that.
100%.
And a lot of women go into the deepest depression. You need to have your own life. It doesn't even have to be a job, but you need to have.
No, you need to have your own life 100%. And I'm happy that you said it doesn't have to be a job, because so this is something that I haven't said before, but having my daughter made me realize that I could one day soon, and maybe not very soon, maybe within like the next couple of years, not do what I'm doing anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Because I really enjoy being with her, and I don't want to miss out on these moments. My mom was very present in my life. My mom was a working woman, and then when she had me, she decided to stay home. She was very present in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I enjoyed that presence, and I really think that it shaped me. And I'm not comparing to someone's mother who was probably a kick-ass working woman, بالعكس, and who was probably just as present in their lives. But I'm saying the way I was raised, I loved having her around. And I feel like if down the line I don't find the balance that I need, I would give up. I don't want to say give up everything. That's very dramatic, and it's not the right word. I would step back and sort of take a step back from what I do, because I don't feel. So I love what I do. Bonjour. I love what I do, but it doesn't fulfill me as much as being a mother fulfills me.
Of course. And things will change like that.
It took me so long to be able to admit that, because I felt like if I said that, I would be lessening the value of the effort that I've made, that I've done throughout the last 12 years.
Or you feel like you're taking women back like 50 years, but that's not what it is. It's not.
No,
it's not what it is, no.
And I feel like I'd be disregarding the respect that I have for my fans and people that like me. But you know what? Being a woman is so beautiful, because being a woman means that you can be whoever you want to be, right? So you can be the working woman and the mother, and you can be just a working woman or just a mother. But we live in a day and age where we can definitely get to choose who we want to be.
Right.
We can choose to stay home with no shame, because staying home is a damn difficult job. Being a stay-at-home mom is not easy.
It is the hardest. The hardest.
It's damn hard. Like, it's super, especially when you're running a household and you're dealing with your husband and you're dealing with kids. It's like dealing with 3 children.
Because
you
what
have 2
happens,
kids and a husband, you are dealing with 3 children.
Exactly, because what happens is the whole day you're giving and you're giving and you're giving, and because you make the household run so effortlessly, no one understands the amount of work and detail and precision that goes into having a stocked fridge, having dinner plans and knowing what you're going to make for dinner, and having, you know, yourself bathed and having the house cleaned and having the
and
electricity.
and still having time for yourself as well, because khalas, we're no longer living in a day and age where it's okay to give everything to your husband and give everything to your kids and not do anything for yourself. Khalas, that's over. You
How do
live for
you
yourself as
recharge?
much as, well, for me, I mean, I can't really preach much because I've only been doing this for 8 months, literally sitting on my ass at home. Like,
No, but it
I
doesn't
haven't
have to
been
be
really doing
preaching.
much. But yeah, I mean, yeah, but Sandy, at the end of the day, if you talk to someone else who was raising a child during normal times,
Yeah.
then they would really tell you how they're able to recharge. But I think my struggle was being able to, in a time where I couldn't get my life back because nothing was happening outside the walls of my house. People were still being careful. People were still on lockdown. It was kind of how am I still Kaya's mom while trying to find Laura again? But I can't find Laura because there's no work. You know, everything's on pause. Uh, there's nothing to do. Like, I can't leave the house. So how am I going to find her? Like, how am I going to sit on my own and find myself again? So I think that was a struggle for me. And recharging was a bit, I mean, I had, to be very fair, like, I'm not going to sit here and say that, like, I was, like, at sleepless nights all the time and this and this and that, because I have help. And when you have help, you're super lucky, right? So we really need to be very grateful and thankful that some of us can afford to have, and I don't just mean financially afford, I mean in general, just are able to have people that
Family,
help
yeah.
them. Family, whether it's professionals. So I had help, but my main issue was how to really just find myself again. Like, I remember, because I gave birth in London, so I think the first month when I was in London, I was kind of all over the place. I was very, like, you know, you're a new mom, you really don't know, you don't think outside, like, you're not thinking of yourself, you're thinking of, like, is my baby eating right? Like, am I breastfeeding properly? Is she pooping enough? Is, you know, like, I remember calling the doctor every time, like, she wouldn't poo, like, as often as the application and the book said that she had to poop. So it was just these little things. And then I came back home and I was too scared to see people because of COVID. So I didn't really let people come into the house, with the exception of, like, a few people who were always, like, my closest friends and family who were always keeping a distance. I knew they were really careful and as paranoid as my family and I were and all that. And then because I wasn't seeing people and because I wasn't interacting with anyone but my daughter and my nurse and my husband and my parents, I started to feel like who am I and what am I doing? Like, really, like, when I go to sleep and she goes to sleep, like, khalas, like, what is there? And then I had to deal, I think, with so many, like, as, like, postpartum, you also start to deal, obviously, with, like, your body and your weight and the way you look versus the way you look, and that struggle. And I remember, khalas, people started loosening up. I honestly didn't leave the house because my husband started going out and leaving the house much earlier than I did.
Mhm.
And he would always be like, yalla, like, let's just go have drinks with some friends. And I'd be like, nothing fits me. Nothing fits me. I don't look good. I don't feel good. I don't have the time to do my hair. I don't have the time, and I don't mean do, like, curl and straight. I mean, I don't have the time to wash it. You know what I mean? Like, I remember having to wash my hair, like, the second my daughter went into nap, and I wouldn't even dry it, like, in the middle of winter. Like, I didn't have time. So it's just, and my sister telling me that she had, like, friends, like, upstairs, like, why don't you come? We're all sitting and chilling. We're being super careful. I just don't feel good about myself. Like, right now, I'm a mother. I'm a breastfeeding mother. I just don't feel good about myself. And I know I really didn't have the baby blues because I didn't have any. I was super happy the entire time. It was just these little things that made me, like, so just to take you back a little bit, I'm not someone who's ever had issues with the way I look. Not because I think I look good or anything, but because I've always, like I said, like, I'm very realistic. I've always programmed myself to either cover the flaws that I have that I don't like, or just deal with them, or just work around them. But at that time, there was nothing I could do. There was nothing I could cover up. I just didn't feel nice about myself. I just didn't feel
Yeah,
good.
your body just went
And
through a lot of change, and
it
it's
really did. And it was just so much going on. And I remember at the time, blacks, if yani, right now, if my parents and if my husband and my friends are listening to this, they're never going to know, because relax, I wasn't depressed, I wasn't upset about it, I never showed it. But in hindsight, looking back, no, like I did internally struggle just trying to be something other than my daughter's mother, and I did struggle to feel better about myself and to look good. Like even now, like I'm sitting in Sahel on the beach, and like where the beach is and the sea is, and I'm not like, this is just very superficial, but I don't feel as good about myself as I did the past summers before. You
Right.
know what I mean? Like, and I know they say it takes 9 months to get your body back, just like it took 9 months to grow a baby. But when you're working on a film and you know you're going to be in front of the camera and this and that, and it's summer and you want to look good and you want to do this and you want to be like that, you can't help but sometimes just be like a little bit upset about
No,
the
of
fact that you don't
course.
look
Of
the way
course.
you
A
did.
lot upset
Like
even.
I looked better pregnant last summer than I do now. That's putting it into a really nice perspective.
No, but like
Like I
if you
did.
ask me, you're gorgeous, and I know that no matter
No,
what anyone tells you, I understand that this is something that's internal. Like you need to feel like you
it
look
is,
good,
and
and
this
you need
is,
to feel it.
and I think it's really important just to say that you don't have to be like, when I tell people like, oh, I'm just, trying to work on myself a little bit, they're like, why? How much weight do you have to lose? This stuff. I don't have that much weight to lose. I'm actually back to, I probably am back to my initial weight, but it's your body that changes. It's not how you are on the scale, right? And I think it's just very important to note that whatever body you have or you had or whatever, like there could be someone who still has much more to go than I do, someone who has way less to go, but it's okay for you to not be okay with yourself. Like, you know what I mean? Because people go, they're like, oh, but you look fine. I do look fine, by the way, and I'm very happy that I look fine, and I'm happy that I can leave the house feeling good about myself. But it's okay if you think I look fine and I don't think I look fine. It's okay to feel
Exactly.
like that.
And no one can say anything to change that. But you
No.
made me realize something actually, because I was going to tell you earlier, I was going to say that I think that anyone that had a baby during COVID is very lucky, because you got this very extended maternity leave that no one's heard of.
For sure.
But now when you mention the whole existential thing where you're like, who am I if I'm not a mom? People went through this, who am I, without the distractions, even without having a baby. So I can't imagine having that already. Like I was like, okay, who am I now if I'm not working and I'm not having conversations and I'm not getting this, and we are our distractions. I learned that we really were our distractions. Whatever you
We
used to
truly are.
distract yourself and fill your day, that became who you are. But that's not who you actually should be. So
No.
having that essentially, just as anybody, plus the whole thinking that, oh my God, it's because now I have a baby. Because there wasn't like, okay, leave the baby and go see your friends like you used to, or leave the baby and go to the gym like you used to. You couldn't even do that.
No.
And I didn't even think of that till you mentioned this. So what does working on myself look like for you? Or what did you try? Because I know I tried a bazillion routines until I tried to figure out what works for me now. I tried to do everything, Laura. I tried it all. So what was your trial and error?
I don't think I really had a trial and error. I think I just let things be like at the right time. Like, so in the very beginning, like I said, like the first few months, either way, I wasn't leaving the house. I wasn't doing anything. There was nothing to do. I really did want to be with my daughter all the time. And I remember people kept telling me like, "Tab khalas, when COVID's over and like, or if the world opens up or this and this and that, how are you going to leave her?" I will be able to leave her, just not now. Just like when people used to ask me, how are you going to be able to work? I will be able to work, just not now. So I
Cross
was
that
really
bridge
just,
when you get there.
exactly. So I was just living day by day. At that time, like I remember the first few months, I really just did, yes, in the back of my mind, I was questioning who I was and what I'm going to do with my life and all that. But I knew that at this moment, I wanted to be Kaya's mom. I loved it. I loved breastfeeding. I loved that bond. I loved cleaning her, like changing her diapers and giving her her bath. I loved putting her to sleep. I loved when she fell asleep in my arms. Like I loved it. So I really didn't need to to evolve or to go back to who I was, because at that moment this was who I was, like, and I was super happy about it. And I think it's just khalas, as she got a bit older and she didn't need me as much, that's when I just started working on myself. So I started going back to work. I started, you know, I had like I said I had 2 music videos that were about to get shot, and obviously everything went down the drain. So I sat down with my team and I said, you know what, let's start from scratch. Let's do this all over again, even if it takes months. I just want to feel like I'm heading towards something. And I think that was a crucial point. Like, I didn't need to be doing anything at that moment, but I needed to prep and start for where I was going to go once I was ready to leave.
Feel progress.
I think that
day-to-day
100%. And then I just started working out, hanging out with friends, like the little things. And I would only do that when I felt it was the right time for me to do that. Because I remember a lot of friends like calling and being like, why don't you come? Why don't you do this? I'd be like, no, I'm going to stay with Kaya. But you've been at home the whole day. I'm like, yeah, by the way, like, it's okay. It's okay if I've been home the whole day. I'm happy. And the second I want to hang out, I will give you a call, because you are the people that I love hanging out with. But right now, at this moment in time, I want to be here. I might wake up tomorrow and say that I don't want to be here and I want to be with you guys. But right now, it's okay. Like, it's not shatara to be able to be that, like, it's, you can be whatever mom you want to be. That's my point, right? So a lot of people, especially the ones who don't have kids, would be like, yalla, لازم تتعودي تسيبي البيت, لازم تتعودي, you know, to have her not be with you. I'm like, by the way, هي مش شطارة to just like leave whenever you want to and all that. You can do that, and if you want to do that, that's amazing. Relax, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's okay to not do that as well.
You have a great reliance and trust and ease with your own decisions, where some people will be in their head like, should I be going out? Am I staying home too much? Oh my God, am I gonna get used to just this? Oh my God, am I never? And you start to self-doubt. But you have an ease with your own choices. Has it always been this way?
For most part of my life, yes.
Right?
Maybe the maybe for a good part of my life.
I have to tell you that I even asked you about this in our first interview, and I told you I feel like you always just do what you want to do the way you want to do it, and I respect that so much, because there was a point in the better part of my life where it was I did whatever I wanted to do, but I also still had that idea in my head where like I had that like perfectionist, like I should be going out and I should be working and I should be working out. So until like during quarantine, when I was trying all these different things, I was like, there's no way I could be part of the 5 a.m. club, work all day, eat healthy, go out with my friends, come home.
You can't do it all.
You can't do you cannot do that. So I was like, okay.
At least not at the same time. And that's where we had started off our conversation, right? You can't do it all at the same time. You can be person and that person, but don't pressure yourself with doing it all at once. And I think that's the lesson that I learned over the course of the last 2 years, masalan. And I can be a great wife to my husband, and I can be an amazing friend to my friends. I can be a great mother to my daughter, a great daughter to my parents, a great, professional to work with. Yes, I don't have to be all of them at the same time. I can take a break from being this when I want to be that. And I don't mean completely neglecting it. I just mean you don't have to pressure yourself to be everything at once. It's okay. You know what I mean? Like you're saying, you could be part of the 5 a.m. club, but not the days where you've been working your ass off and going out at night. And you can go out at night, but not the days where you've been working your ass off and waking up early. Exactly. So I think it's just really important to just have perspective. And when you say like, yes, I do what I want, but I don't do it in a stubborn sense. Relax. I'm very passive in a sense, because I just and I like everything to flow smoothly. If there's really something where I have to put my foot down, I will. But other than that, just life is not as...
Yeah, I don't ever think you're stubborn. I think you have... I don't know what the word is, Laura. عندك زي salam with yourself, if that makes sense.
I would say that.
You know, it's like this is what I want to do. This is how I want to do it. I understand you're taking a dig at me. I understand you're condescending me. I really don't care.
But it's okay.
but
No.
it's okay. So I love that. I think it's such an important
Thank you.
quality to have, because I really do think, and have proved to myself that it's true, when you listen to yourself and you do what you feel like doing, obviously so long as you rationalize and you think about it, you're not stubborn or so like
No,
extreme.
definitely.
You will be able to guide yourself through your intuition, through your mind, through life in general. You will be guided in the right way. You'll be okay, but you need
You'll
to
be okay.
be firm with
Exactly.
yourself and just don't let the noise wobble you. And we reached a point of extreme noise in Corona. Everyone was like, this does this, and then this does this, and it's like, that what am I supposed to do? Like, everything and its
Yeah.
opposite. You will always find every piece of advice and its opposite. So you need to be like a firm anchor in your own life and just say, this is the decision, knowing there's no wrong decision. I really don't believe there's a wrong decision ever. This is the decision, and once this decision starts to not work, there's another decision, and then there's another decision, and you can always make another choice. Yeah,
For sure. No, definitely. And I think, I mean, I think you said everything, Saraha.
I love this, and I love that now I can put that episode that we shot beforehand.
I loved it, by the way. I feel like I had really opened up that day, and I think I didn't expect to come and open up that day as much as I did.
I have my ways.
You do. No, because I really enjoyed the interview. And I was so bummed that, like, I remember as well, you know, that I actually thought about that interview when I got pregnant, because I was thinking, oh my God, like, I went on Cut the Crap and I said that I didn't want to get pregnant right now, and that, oh my God, I'm gonna look like such a hypocrite and such
pregnant.
a liar. I was, and I didn't know.
I know you didn't know. No, I know for a fact you didn't know. I just had to ask it on the podcast so that it's there. But no, I was thinking of this episode for so long, and you know, nothing about Cut the Crap went the way that I had planned it. I will tell you that.
I know.
In every sense of the word. And we were about to take off from sponsors, from content, from everything, but it brought me to my knees, because I was like, I gave up everything for Cut the Crap. I gave up living in America with my parents. I gave up an amazing startup that I had started in California, where like Kendall Jenner was the face of the brand. I gave up everything.
I remember you telling me.
You know, and I was like, I gave up because I believe in the power of these conversations, and that this is what I want to be doing. So why now I'm like, I'm fighting for content that's mine and I can't get it. I got to sit with you and a lot of other amazing people, and I can't even use it. And I started from scratch. And I will tell you, today, when I look back, if I had to do an animation of what this year felt, I was stuck in the mud trying to like, do this, but it was all worth it. Yani, even though now it's on Zoom and we're not on my table, even though it's just me and I don't have Shireen with me, even though it's a lot of different things, I'm so at ease and content. It doesn't even feel like a job anymore. It feels like...
That's when you know you're doing something right. I mean, right within the context of your life.
We need to do this. Here's what we're going to do. This episode's going to come out, and then a couple of weeks or a couple of days after, I'm going to put the first episode, and I think it'll be really interesting to see, to your merit, how the things you said then and the things you're saying now, and that it's okay to how you evolve, and your opinion evolves, and your priorities evolve, and life evolves, and that's okay. Because trust me, this conversation, modern day mama 100%. Conversation, is very different than the conversation we had a year ago.
Completely.
And we should check in often, because
I would love that.
Right?
We can have another one when I'm like halfway through Khala's second part of mamahood, and then I think it's going to be completely different, because I'll be like, oh, Khalas, I'm over it.
As soon as you feel like too long. Yeah, as soon as you feel you're thinking some kind of way, just be like, Laman, jump on Zoom, or hopefully we can
Let's go.
Yeah.
No, hopefully face to face. I mean, hopefully things will get better, I guess. I hope.
But you're taking your time in Sahel to heal, and I'm taking my time in Guna to heal.
I'm taking my time in Sahel to just live for me every day. Kaya and I, like, we wake up, she swims, I take her to the beach a little bit, There's always someone coming in and out of the house. So she's super happy. She loves people. It's the perfect life. And everyone kept telling me that your child will change when they come to the sea. And I've seen it, and I don't want to leave.
No.
Like, now people are going to have to drag me back.
Sea, sun, and salt for any
100%.
human being. I don't know what I would have done without those three things, those three elements this year. I really don't. And let me tell you, nothing went my way this year, but that's okay. But that helped me.
But the sea, sun, and salt are there, so you're good.
Yeah, exactly.
You're good.
I love talking to you. Really,
Me too,
every time I
really.
speak to you, I feel like I'm speaking to Shirina. I feel like I know you so well. Although
I know. I feel the same. Really.
Okay,
Thank you so much for this. I feel like I needed to have this session to just talk it out.
Me too. Anytime, girl. Just rant on. You know how I love the voice note rants, right?
100%. I'll send them to you whenever I feel like I just need to rant.